The phone rings at 2 a.m. It's your daughter. There's been an emergency. She needs you to take the grandkids. Right now. Tonight. You say yes without hesitation. That's what grandparents do. But here's the question that should terrify you. If disaster strikes while those grandchildren are in your home, under your roof, in your care, are you actually prepared to protect them? Not your own survival, theirs. Because here's the brutal truth most grandparents won't face. Your preps are designed for adults. Your medications, your food, your plans, your evacuation routes, all built around adult capabilities and adult needs. A 4-year-old can't eat your freeze-dried meals. A 7-year-old can't walk 10 miles to your bug-out location. A toddler needs diapers, formula, and medications you've never even thought about stockpiling. If the grandkids are with you when it happens, your current preps might keep you alive, while failing the people you love most. Today, I'm showing you how to fix that. Grandparent prepping. Protecting the ones who call you grandma and grandpa. Welcome back to Bunker Down Survival. Before we dive in, I've created a complete grandparent prepping guide that's available for free download. It includes every checklist, food guide, medical dosage chart, and template you'll need. The link is in the description below. Download it now so you can follow along and start implementing immediately. Now, let's fix your grandchild prep gaps. Let me share something personal. I've talked to dozens of grandparents in the prepping community. Experienced preppers, years of stockpiling, detailed plans, and almost every single one had the same blind spot. They'd never specifically prepared for their grandchildren being present during a crisis. Think about your situation right now. How often are those grandkids at your house? Weekends, school breaks, summer vacations, random Tuesday afternoons? Now think about when disasters actually strike. No warning, no schedule, no consideration for whether it's convenient. Hurricane hits during spring break, when the grandkids are visiting. Power grid fails on Christmas, when the whole family is gathered at your house. Economic collapse happens during summer vacation. The statistics back this up. Grandparents today provide more childcare than any previous generation. Over 70% of grandparents with grandchildren under 18 provide regular care. That's not occasional visits. That's consistent, predictable time when those children are your responsibility. If you're prepping for yourself and your spouse, but ignoring the reality that grandchildren are regularly in your care, you're not actually prepared. You're gambling. And you're gambling with the lives of children who trust you completely. Let's start with a brutal audit. I want you to answer these questions honestly. Question 1. Do you have food in your stockpile that a toddler can actually eat? Not canned beans, not freeze-dried meals with 1,000 milligrams of sodium, actual child-appropriate food that a 2-year-old won't refuse when they're already scared and crying. Question 2. Do you have any diapers, any formula, any children's medications, not adult Tylenol you'll cut in half and hope for the best, actual infant and children's dosages of pain relief, fever reduction, and allergy medication? Question 3. If you had to shelter in place for 2 weeks with a 5-year-old, do you have anything to keep them calm, occupied, and emotionally regulated? Books, crayons, stuffed animals, games that don't require electricity? Does your bug-out plan account for a child who can't walk more than a mile? A child who needs a car seat? A child who will have a complete meltdown if separated from their favorite blanket? Do the children's parents know your emergency plans? Do they know where you'd go? Do they know your communication protocols? Could they find their children if everything went wrong? If you answered no to more than 2 of these, Your preps have a critical failure point, and that failure point is the people you love most in this world.
Let's fix this systematically, starting with food. Children's nutritional needs are different from adults. Their caloric requirements per pound of body weight are actually higher than ours. They're growing. Their bodies are working harder. But their food preferences and capabilities are completely different. A 3-year-old will not eat your bucket of hard winter wheat berries. I don't care how hungry they are. They will refuse, cry, and eventually make themselves sick with stress before they'll eat unfamiliar survival food. So here's what you actually need. For infants under 1 year, formula. Even if the grandchild is breastfed normally, you need formula backup. Mom might not be there. Stress can affect milk supply. Store powdered formula, not liquid. Rotate every 6 months. You also need baby food in jars or pouches, simple single-ingredient foods they're already eating. For toddlers ages 1 to 3, familiar snacks they already eat at your house. Crackers, cereal, fruit pouches, peanut butter if no allergies. Shelf-stable whole milk boxes. These exist and last months without refrigeration. Pediatric electrolyte solution for dehydration. This is critical. Children dehydrate faster than adults. For children ages 4 to 10, this is easier but still requires thought. Canned pasta, like SpaghettiOs, macaroni and cheese boxes, peanut butter and jelly supplies, granola bars, fruit cups. These aren't health food, but they're familiar, comforting, and children will actually eat them during high stress. Here's the secret most preppers miss. Stock what they already eat at your house. If they always have goldfish crackers at grandma's, stock goldfish crackers. Familiarity reduces stress. Stress reduction keeps children calm. Calm children don't attract attention, don't waste energy crying, and don't make you lose focus during a crisis. Store at least 2 weeks of child-specific food per grandchild who regularly visits. Rotate it through normal visits. Replace what they eat.
Now, medical supplies. This is where grandparents fail most dangerously. You cannot give a child adult medication dosages. You cannot guess. You cannot cut pills in half and hope. Children's bodies process medications differently. Wrong dosages can be fatal. Here's your children's medical stockpile checklist. Pain and fever. Children's acetaminophen, both infant drops and children's liquid. They're different concentrations. Know which grandchildren need which. Children's ibuprofen for kids over 6 months. Include dosing syringes, not just cups. Cups are inaccurate. Allergies. Children's antihistamine like Benadryl or Zyrtec. If any grandchild has severe allergies, you need an EpiPen at your house. Talk to their parents. Get a prescription for your address. This is non-negotiable if you have a grandchild with serious allergies. Stomach issues. Pediatric electrolyte solution. Children dehydrate from vomiting and diarrhea faster than adults. This can become life-threatening within hours. Anti-diarrheal medication appropriate for children's ages. First aid. Smaller bandages for smaller wounds. Children's adhesive bandages with characters provide comfort. Antibiotic ointment. Tweezers for splinters, which somehow children find constantly. Skin issues. Diaper cream if you have babies visiting. Hydrocortisone cream for bug bites and rashes. Child-safe sunscreen. Child-safe bug repellent. Prescription medications. This is critical. If any grandchild takes regular medication, you need backup supply at your house. Work with the parents. Explain why. Most doctors will prescribe a small backup supply if the parents request it for a secondary caregiver's home. One more thing. Know their medical information. Allergies, blood types, doctor's contact information, insurance information. Have it written down. In a crisis, you might need to seek medical help for a grandchild when parents are unreachable. Create a medical information card for each grandchild. Keep it with your emergency supplies. All of these templates are in the free guide I mentioned at the beginning. If you haven't downloaded it yet, the link is in the description. It includes printable medical information cards, medication dosage charts, and complete supply checklists. Now we need to talk about something most tactical preppers completely ignore: emotional preparedness for children. A scared child is a liability in a survival situation. I know that sounds harsh, but it's true. A child who's screaming, crying, refusing to move, or having a complete emotional breakdown draws attention, drains your energy, and prevents you from making clear decisions. Your job as a grandparent prepper is to keep those children calm enough to function. And that requires specific preparations. Comfort items. Every grandchild has something that makes them feel safe: a stuffed animal, a blanket, a specific toy. Find out what it is. Keep a backup at your house. If the child arrives for an emergency visit without their comfort item, you have one ready. I'm serious about this. A $15 stuffed animal can be the difference between a manageable situation and chaos. Entertainment without electricity. Coloring books and crayons. Simple card games. Children's books appropriate for their ages. Puzzles. Play-Doh or modeling clay. Small toys like action figures or dolls. A deck of cards can provide hours of entertainment if you know simple games. These aren't luxuries, they're tools. A child who's occupied is a child who's not panicking. Emotional preparation. If you've never talked to your grandchildren about emergencies, start now. Not in a scary way. Simple, calm, matter of fact. Practice fire drills at Grandma's house. Make it a game. Show them the emergency supplies and explain that Grandma and Grandpa always make sure everyone is safe. Teach them that sometimes the power goes out, and that's okay, because we have flashlights and candles. Children who've been gently exposed to the concept of emergencies handle real emergencies dramatically better than children who've been completely sheltered. One more critical item: photos of parents. If you're separated from the children's parents during an emergency, having photos of mom and dad can provide enormous comfort. Print physical photos. Don't rely on phones that might be dead. Now the hardest part. What if you have to leave? Your current bug-out plan almost certainly doesn't account for young children. Let's fix that. Transportation reality. Children under certain ages legally require car seats. If grandchildren are visiting, do you have appropriate car seats at your house? If your vehicle is disabled and you need to use another vehicle, do you have portable car seats that can transfer? In an evacuation, driving without proper car seats isn't just illegal, it's genuinely dangerous. Children die in car accidents specifically because they weren't properly restrained. Keep age-appropriate car seats at your house. Update them as grandchildren grow. Walking capacity. A healthy adult can walk 15 to 20 miles in a day if necessary. A 5-year-old can walk maybe 2 to 3 miles before they're exhausted, crying, and potentially injured. If your bug-out plan involves walking any distance, you need to account for this. Options include a sturdy stroller that works on rough terrain, a child carrier backpack for smaller children, a wagon for pulling supplies and a tired child, or, most realistically, a plan that doesn't require walking long distances with young children. Bug-out bag for grandchildren. Your go bag doesn't have children's supplies. Create a separate bag specifically for grandchildren visits. Include 3 days of child-appropriate food, children's medications and diapers if applicable, change of clothes in appropriate sizes, comfort item, small entertainment items, and the emergency contact and medical information cards. Keep this bag ready, but rotate the contents. Children grow fast. Clothes that fit in January won't fit in July. Vehicle Kit Edition. Keep a separate container in your vehicle with basic children's supplies.
If you're out with grandchildren when something happens, you have immediate access to what they need.
Let's address the elephant in the room. Where are the parents during all this? In most scenarios, your primary job as a grandparent is to keep the children safe until parents can retrieve them. This requires communication planning. Primary communication plan. Both parents should have your complete emergency plans, not vague ideas, written documents, where you'll shelter in place, where you'll evacuate to, what routes you'll take, what radio frequencies you'll monitor if phones fail. If communications are working, establish check-in protocols, specific times you'll attempt contact, specific backup times if first attempt fails. Secondary communication. If phones aren't working, what's the plan? Ham radio? Specific meeting location? Pre-designated family rally point? Work this out with your adult children before any emergency. During crisis is too late. Out-of-area contact. Establish a family contact person who lives far away from all of you, someone in another state. During regional disasters, local calls often fail while long-distance calls work. Everyone calls the out-of-area contact to relay their status and location. Custody considerations. This is uncomfortable but necessary. If something happens to both parents, do you have legal documentation supporting your care of the grandchildren? Temporary guardianship papers, emergency medical authorization. Talk to an attorney, have documents prepared. Keep copies with your emergency supplies. Reunification planning. If you evacuate with grandchildren, how will parents find you? Multiple contact methods, pre-designated meeting points, physical notes left at home with information about where you've gone. A child separated from parents during a disaster is traumatic for everyone. Having solid reunification plans in place reduces that trauma dramatically. A few more critical considerations. Grandchildren with special needs. If any grandchild has autism, ADHD, physical disabilities, or other special needs, your preparations must specifically address their requirements. Sensory sensitivities in stressful environments, routine disruption effects, specific dietary requirements, medication needs, mobility accommodations. Work closely with parents to understand exactly what that specific child needs and how to provide it during emergencies. Multiple grandchildren. If you have several grandchildren of different ages, your preps become more complex. An infant and a 10-year-old have completely different needs. Prepare for each age range. Understand that managing multiple frightened children is exponentially harder than managing one. Have a plan for how you and your spouse will divide responsibilities. Who's managing the baby while who's keeping the older kids calm? Grandchildren who visit rarely. Even if grandchildren only visit once or twice a year, consider keeping basic supplies on hand. Emergencies don't schedule themselves around visitation calendars. Distance grandparenting. If grandchildren live far away and rarely visit, you might still be involved in their emergency planning. Perhaps you're the out-of-area contact. Perhaps they'll evacuate to your location. Understand your role and prepare accordingly. Let me leave you with something important. Being a prepared grandparent isn't just about having the right supplies. It's about the legacy you're creating. Children who experience emergencies with calm, prepared grandparents learn that crisis doesn't mean panic. They learn that problems can be anticipated and solved. They learn that people who love them will protect them. That becomes part of who they are forever. The grandchild who sheltered with grandma during the blackout and felt safe and loved becomes the adult who doesn't panic when things go wrong. The child who learned that grandpa always had a plan becomes the parent who makes plans for their own children. Your preparedness isn't just protecting them in this moment. It's teaching them how to live their entire lives. That's the real legacy of a prepared grandparent. Not just survival, but wisdom passed down. Resilience taught by example, love demonstrated through action. Your grandchildren don't need you to be superhuman. They need you to be ready. They need you to have thought about them specifically, prepared for them specifically, planned for their safety specifically. They need to know that no matter what happens, Grandma and Grandpa have them covered.
So here's what I want you to do. This week, call your grandchildren's parents. Have the uncomfortable conversation. Tell them you want to make sure you're truly prepared if the kids are with you during an emergency. Ask about food preferences, allergies, medications, comfort items. Then build your grandchild prep kit. Start small. Food they'll actually eat. Basic children's medications with proper dosages. One comfort item, one entertainment item. Then expand from there. Medical information cards, communication plans, evacuation considerations. You don't have to do everything this week, but you have to start this week because you don't know when that phone will ring at 2 a.m. The complete grandparent prepping guide with every template, checklist, and chart we discussed today is available free in the description. Download it, print the cards, fill out the checklists, protect those grandkids. If this video made you think differently about your preparations, hit subscribe and the notification bell. We're building a community of prepared grandparents here at Bunker Down Survival. Which grandparent prep item do you need to add first? Drop it in the comments. Let's help each other make sure no grandchild is left unprotected. Remember, prepared minds survive, and prepared grandparents protect generations. Stay ready, stay safe. Those grandkids are counting on you.